Unlock a hidden force within you that possesses the power to skyrocket your earnings and command unwavering respect from everyone you meet. This silent superpower is not a gift reserved for the famous or the wealthy. It is the refined skill of masterful communication. Most of us encounter individuals who appear quite ordinary at first glance, but the second they share their thoughts, they become the most captivating person in the room. Their words carry weight, and their energy feels irresistible, because communication is the true foundation of your career success and your internal sense of value. To develop a commanding personality that leaves a lasting impression, you must live by the golden mantra: speak good, speak well, and speak clearly. This requires your speech to be intentional rather than random. Your words must be beautifully organized, purposeful, and as clear as a mountain stream. By combining a focused, logical mind with precise articulation, you create a persona of immense power. To continue improving your English proficiency while learning these life-altering techniques, please subscribe to our channel immediately. Ensure you watch this video until the final second, as I am sharing 10 practical tools that will permanently upgrade your social influence. Let's dive into these secrets together. Our presence often broadcasts a powerful message long before we ever clear our throats to speak. This brings us to tip 1. Say without saying, a psychological phenomenon, where individuals categorize your competence and character in a mere 7 seconds. Within this heartbeat of time, people have already decided if we are trustworthy, confident, or even worth their time. It sounds intense, but it means your body language, eye contact, and even your aura are doing 70% of the heavy lifting for you. Let's look at a different scenario. Imagine we are at a high-stakes networking gala. You see one guest leaning against a wall, crossing their arms tightly and looking down at their shoes. Nearby, another person stands with an open posture, head held high, making brief, friendly eye contact with those passing by. Even if they are both equally talented, I guarantee you'll feel drawn to the second person because they radiate, "I am approachable and professional." To nail this yourself, keep your shoulders back to signal authority, offer a soft, unforced smile to project warmth, and keep your hands visible and steady to show you have nothing to hide. Mastering this silent language is a fantastic way to improve your English fluency while building social dominance. So don't forget to subscribe for more insights. If you can dominate these first few seconds, you've essentially won the interaction before the first hello. Your silent signals are the foundation upon which all your future words will stand. Beyond just exchanging information, there's a magical art that transforms listeners into believers and acquaintances into lifelong fans. This leads us directly to tip 2. Storytelling, often hailed as the crown jewel of human interaction. While raw data and statistics might inform the brain, a well-crafted narrative captures the soul, because facts merely provide details, while stories actually move people to action. When we share a journey, we aren't just talking, we are painting a vivid portrait in the listener's mind that remains long after the conversation ends. Consider this. You could tell someone that persistence leads to success, which is true, but incredibly dry. Instead, I want to tell you about a woman named Maya who started a small bakery with her last $100. For 6 months, she didn't have a single customer and nearly closed her doors. But she decided to share her remaining bread with a local shelter every morning. That simple act of kindness led to a viral community story, and today, her bakery has a line around the block every single day. Which version do you feel in your heart? The second one, because we are naturally wired to crave the struggle and victory arc. To master this, keep your tales concise, inject genuine emotion, and ensure your audience can see themselves in your shoes. Have you ever felt like people's eyes glaze over the moment you start talking? Comment yes below. If you're tired of being the person everyone forgets 5 minutes after the conversation ends. Embracing this narrative power ensures your voice becomes a beacon that draws others in, rather than noise they choose to ignore. While some focus solely on the logic of a conversation, true masters understand that the heartbeat of every great connection is a deeper, more human quality. This brings us to tip 3. Empathy, the art of not just hearing sounds, but truly feeling the weight of someone's experience. I believe that when we step into another person's shoes, we create a sanctuary where they feel safe to be their authentic selves. Without this emotional resonance, our dialogue remains cold and purely transactional. Imagine you are speaking with a teammate who just missed a major deadline and feels defeated. A typical response might be, "Don't worry, just work harder next time." But you choose to listen with your heart. You look them in the eye and say, "I can see how much pressure you've been under. It's genuinely tough when things don't go as planned." By validating their struggle, you've built more trust in seconds than 1,000 emails ever could. To practice this, we must put down our phones, offer our full presence, and replace judgment with curiosity. Ultimately, when we stop simply hearing words and start acknowledging the emotions behind them, we transform a simple chat into a profound bond. Have you ever noticed how your entire mood shifts when someone actually remembers who you are in a sea of anonymous faces? This brings us to a secret weapon used by the most charismatic leaders on earth, known as tip 4, the sweetest sound. As the legendary Dale Carnegie once observed, there is no melody more beautiful to a human being than the sound of their own name. It isn't just a label, it is the core of our identity, our history, and our very soul. When we address someone by name, we aren't just communicating, we are validating their existence and making them feel seen and important. Imagine you frequent a small, local bakery where you are usually just another quick transaction. But today, the baker looks up, beams a genuine smile, and says, "Good morning, Mark. I saved that specific sourdough loaf you mentioned liking last week." Suddenly, you aren't just a customer, you are a valued individual. That tiny addition, Mark, changed the entire social atmosphere and built an instant connection. To truly master these subtle social cues, we have another video on our channel called How to Talk to Anyone that you can combine with this content to further sharpen your communication and English-speaking fluency. Remember to use names strategically when saying hello, when emphasizing a key point, or when saying goodbye, but keep it authentic so it doesn't feel forced. Embracing this simple habit ensures that you leave behind a trail of people who feel genuinely appreciated and respected by you. Beyond the words we choose, the true master of any social interaction is the person who can govern their internal storm while others are losing their cool. This brings us to tip 5. Emotional intelligence, a game changer that dictates how far you'll climb in your career and personal life. At its heart, EQ is about the power to choose between reacting and responding. I often tell people that reacting is like a knee-jerk reflex. It's impulsive, hot-headed, and usually leaves us with regrets. Responding, however, is a deliberate, calculated move that prioritizes the long-term relationship over a momentary ego boost. Let's visualize a new scenario. You're leading a presentation when a colleague suddenly interrupts to point out a minor error in your data. If we react, we might get defensive and snap back, which makes us look insecure. But if we utilize our EQ, we take a 3-second breath, acknowledge the point with a smile, and say, "Good catch, let's update that together afterward." In that moment, we've demonstrated immense inner strength. I want us to remember that naming our feelings, whether it's frustration or embarrassment, is the first step to staying in control. By bridging the gap between an impulse and a word, we don't just win an argument. We gain the ultimate influence over our environment. Think of your conversation as a rhythmic dance, where the way you mirror your partner and tune your own instrument determines the entire harmony. This leads us to tip 6. Echoing technique, a subtle yet profound way to signal that you are truly present. By gently reflecting a specific keyword or emotion back to the speaker, we invite them to dive deeper into their thoughts. For instance, if a colleague mentions, "I've been feeling completely drained by this relocation," you simply respond with, "Completely drained?" You aren't offering unsolicited advice. You are holding up a mirror, allowing them to feel truly heard and valued. Moving from the listener's role to the speaker's, we must master tip 7. Voice modulation. I want you to view your voice as a symphony rather than a monotonous drone. We use pitch to convey energy, raising it when we describe a breakthrough like, "We finally hit our target," and lowering it to provide gravity. We also adjust our pace, speeding up to share the thrill of a fast-moving project, then slowing down to let a crucial realization sink in. Finally, I want us to embrace the power of the pause. A deliberate silence after a big statement forces the audience to stop and absorb the weight of your words. Mastering these vocal layers ensures that your presence is felt and your message is remembered long after the room goes silent. We've all encountered that one persistent individual who refuses to accept a no and keeps pushing until we feel cornered or exhausted. This is where you need to deploy tip 8. Broken record technique, a masterful way to protect your personal boundaries without ever raising your voice or losing your cool. I like to think of this as a verbal shield. You simply state your position clearly and repeat it with calm consistency. Just like an old vinyl record stuck on a single track. The beauty of this method is that it removes the need for long explanations or defensive justifications, which often only give the other person more room to argue. Imagine you're at a social gathering, and a persistent friend keeps trying to convince you to stay for just one more hour, even though you've explained you have a critical 6 a.m. flight. Instead of getting frustrated or making up excuses, you look them in the eye and say, "I appreciate the invite, but I really need to head home now." When they push again, you simply repeat the exact same phrase, "I appreciate the invite, but I really need to head home now." After the third repetition, the other person realizes your boundary is immovable. Or consider a telemarketer trying to upsell you a premium package. You just keep stating, "I'm satisfied with my current plan, thank you," until they finally move on. By staying professional and steady, we teach others how to treat our decisions with respect. When was the last time you felt pressured to say yes when every fiber of your being wanted to say no. Holding your ground with quiet strength ensures that you remain the pilot of your own life rather than a passenger in someone else's agenda. Finding a universal bridge to connect with others often requires nothing more than a well-timed spark of lightheartedness. This brings us to tip 9. Humor, a powerful social tool that isn't about memorizing a comedy routine, but about injecting warmth and humanity into our daily dialogue. I've found that when we invite others to share a smile, we aren't just being funny, we are lowering their psychological defenses and establishing a foundation of genuine trust. Let's look at a new scenario. You are delivering a major project update when a loud siren suddenly blares outside the window, drowning you out. Instead of getting flustered, you pause, wait for the noise to fade, and deadpan, "I didn't realize the fashion police were coming for my tie today." Instantly, the room erupts in chuckles, and your audience sees you as a composed, relatable leader. Or maybe you are at a crowded event where the food is late. Instead of grumbling, you might whisper to your neighbor, "I'm considering eating my napkin. Do you think it needs salt?" By using self-deprecating wit or situational observations, you demonstrate that you are approachable and humble. I want us to remember that people who laugh with us are much more likely to listen to us. Mastering this lightness ensures that your presence remains a refreshing change of pace in a world that often takes itself far too seriously. We often spend our entire lives wearing a mask of perfection, terrified that if someone sees our cracks, they might lose respect for us. However, the final and most transformative secret to elite leadership is tip 10. Vulnerability. I want you to understand that being real is not a sign of fragility. It is actually your greatest source of power in a world of pretenders. When we stop pretending to be invincible, we invite others to lower their guards and build a foundation of absolute trust that no perfect speech could ever achieve. Let me share a different perspective. Imagine a CEO who stands before their employees after a difficult quarter. Instead of hiding behind cold statistics, they say, "I've had sleepless nights worrying about our direction, and I realize I didn't listen enough to your concerns last month." In that moment, they aren't just a boss, they are a human being. That honesty creates a magnetic pull, because, as we know, people don't truly follow superheroes. They follow warriors who have the courage to admit their scars. By sharing your genuine journey, including the stumbles, you become a beacon of hope for others fighting their own silent battles. Are you tired of feeling like an imposter or struggling to make people truly hear you? If you're done with shallow interactions, speak with a voice that commands attention through authenticity. You must subscribe to our channel right now. We are dedicated to helping you master the psychological depths of communication while rapidly improving your English proficiency. Stop trying to impress from the mind and start learning how to connect from the heart. The most profound impact you will ever have on this world begins the moment you stop trying to be perfect and start daring to be real.